Hey guys, it is ivazonix, and today I decided that my most successful project that I've ever written in Python needs to have its own little presentation, and we will get to why that is the case. But today I wanted to share my presentation on why I wrote winloop and why it is so important to me that I make this thing exist. So as we're going to see before we begin, I want you all to know that I do not represent a company, and I am making this because I may never be able to attend any pycon events because I do not represent a company, and because I don't know if anyone would even be willing to even fork a few dollars to get me in just so I could present this project. So I decided to make this video because of that. And I'm just a man in his early 20s. I was born and diagnosed with autism when I was very, very young. In fact, I'm actually twiddling with something in my hands just to help me focus on this right now. And another thing I want to point out too is that I do not take any credit for the original library that I so happily had to borrow from what was made by the Magic Stack team. So, yeah. That's all you really need to know before we begin. And yeah, let's take it away. So, how it all started was that I didn't like how I didn't like the standard library. It felt rather sluggish to me on a Windows operating system. I felt like I wanted something better. And I didn't put this into the slide, but I actually do OSINT over Tor, and that may contribute to the slowness. And any piece of optimization that I can get out of, something like Tor is the best I can do. And I am usually the type of person that is willing to make you know try to make at least something, if not anything, work. In fact, I actually attempted once to port the duplicate command line thing that takes a words list and gets rid of all the duplicates from it. The repository for Linux. I actually tried to port that once to Windows and it didn't work, but I'm still trying at it. But since when I used to work somewhere where I had a very large amount of time on hand, and so I took it upon myself actually to handle this all myself because I started to realize that no one was ever going to do it. And that if it was going to be anyone, it was going to have to be me that would have to be willing to get out of my seat and go do it myself. And to be honest, was it easy to move Unix pieces from Unix to Windows? No. And you will see what everything I had to change in the next slide, and I will also show pictures when I edit this video. But here are a lot of the lists of things I had to change, and probably one of the most annoying things I had to do was I had to port, or no, should I say I had to drop P threads and replace it with the Windows APIs in C. So like I had to fix handle creation, and I had to fix the processes, how the processes were being summoned and created and spawned in. I had to drop forking with spawning, and I had to replace the TCP and UDP streams, and I had to fix those because the way that it was writing them originally caused there to be a bad FDS or bad file descriptor. So then the nice thing is that the TCP and UDP streams now have been, sort of fixed. But there's still a couple of sneaky bugs in my project. But I'll get to that in a little bit. But the socket pair functions that I wrote originally were not working. But luckily, at the time when I was doing it, uvloop already had a socket pair function, so that was a big blessing for me when I went into all this. Because I think without it, porting this library would have been more or less hell. But the first part I actually handled was error handling, where the errors, they all get checked and raised according to how the libuv errors are set up. So I had to fix those. There are currently many other sneaky bugs that I had to patch over time too with this project, and it's hard for me to name them all at one time. But there are quite a few that you can probably find if you just dig through the GitHub repository for WinLoop. But probably the most annoying piece of all was uploading the PyPI wheels, which I finally solved. And I had to get help from a Python Discord server for that. Because workflows, I just don't understand them all that well. In fact, I'm still trying to learn how they work and all that. So my goals now for this library that I made is that we can drop all of the define macros, because the current Python macros are deprecated, even though I preferred the macros because they're readable and they're more understandable than just reading a number off for the Python free list wrapper, class wrapper, if you will. But the other optimization I have planned for this library is that we can be in lead with whatever changes uvloop makes, and we can plan accordingly to how they're going about it, so that we know how to fix our own library and keep it up to date. However, I did not truly fork the project because if like certain pieces or changes were made, it wouldn't cause our library to immediately break. And that was something I also have to keep in mind. And because the macros are deprecated, it may be a little bit annoying, if not impossible, right now to merge WinLoop with uvloop. But that would have been one of my final goals, would be to just merge them. But I am working on making a fully functional test suite, and it was surprising to me that many of them actually passed in fact, more of them pass than you would expect versus the Windows Python standard libraries' async IO module. It actually passes more of them than it, which can be both a blessing and a curse, given that that it has many sneaky bugs. But one of my other ideas is that we can have a better test suite for that can be ran whenever a pull request is being made. I sort of learned that when I tried to make a PyPI writer for Python, and that was very helpful. That helped me actually correct a lot of my spelling mistakes as well as many other things. In fact, I'll have a link to that other project that I'm working on right now, which is getting Python a fully functional stub file writer. But the other thing I have planned is to see if the uvloop developers would be more than happy to redirect Windows users to using our Python library. Which I think if that can happen, that's going to solve a lot of problems. Because I don't just want people to find this library. I want the uvloop developers to tell them to go ahead and use what I have created. But anyways, before I leave this presentation, I want you all to remember that if you want something to be done, you have to do it yourself. You cannot wait for someone else to finish it for you. And I'm grateful to say that I was able to do this, the majority of it myself. But if it wasn't for the documentation that was out there and reading through some old libuv stuff, I would not have been able to do this at all. And in fact, without the pyuv library even existing, I would have almost zero hope in getting this done, and I would have just given up. But I chose to persevere, and I chose to work hard, and I was successful. And I want to leave you with that. Alright. That is it for my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed. And yeah, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.